Hey, tolerators, this is Natalie, and before we get to the meat of the episode, I had some quick announcements to all the men I've tolerated before. First, we have our fall merch available in our merchandise store, so make sure that you get yourself to the link in the show notes to check out our tarot-inspired and spooky-inspired anti-misogyny merch. Our Patreon is currently running a 7-day free trial on all tiers. So if you join the Patreon now, your first week is free and you could binge all of our bonus episodes where we get to have a deep dive into the friendship I have with some of our most beloved guests. We are also having a monthly newsletter and a bi-weekly blog post, and that information can also be found at the link in our show notes. Please make sure to check out all of these changes and also follow us on Instagram at Men I've Tolerated Pod or TikTok at NatalieK124 so you can see all of these changes happening in real time. Enjoy the episode. Hey, tolerators. This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with Natalie Katona, your weekly look at everyday misogyny. You know what? I did it. I got myself together and I am offering us a spooky season episode. And it's with some of our favorite guests because they are my spooky bitches. It's Elizabeth from our Taylor Swift episode, our religion episode, and our 90s protagonist episode. And it's Darcie, our female wrestler.
Yes.
We're so glad to be here.
This all came about because Elizabeth asked me if I had ever met Darcie. And I was like, she's only been on the show twice. And now we have a group chat called Darcie is my friend.
Yes, because I thought I was doing everyone the biggest favor by introducing my favorite people, who then immediately were like, dum-dum.
Dum-dum.
Well,
Best friends.
to be fair, I listened to the Taylor. You guys, honestly, now that I think about it, when did the Taylor Swift episode come out?
In June, right before I went to Eras.
So you guys like kicked off like a whole tizzy for me, and like I was already like in Swiftyland, but like I would say I remember listening to your guys' podcast and just being like, wow, oh my god, yeah, right, like everything you guys were saying. I was like, are you pointing out stuff that I hadn't thought about? And then I went back and listened to Midnights, and it's like my favorite album of hers.
This makes my heart so warm. And when I saw this happening in real time, it would be like every day that I would get a message in this thread about the appreciation for Taylor Allison Swift Rising and one individual that is also awesome. I just would feel like I'm not a proud aunt. I don't have siblings that have children, but that's kind of the feeling I imagine that like I'm not directly responsible for you having good taste, but you're welcome because it's amazing. And now you're part of this like just awesome community, and we're just such nerds. It's so fun.
Yeah. So Taylor, and any other Swifties, you let me know when we're starting the commune and the cult because I'm actively recruiting.
I'm like,
I'll be
President,
there.
what? You need to buy an island, and we all need to, communally garden and embroider dresses. And
I'll be in
get
charge
cats.
of PR.
Please.
Me and Tree.
Yeah. The real hero of the story here.
The real hero of the story. Okay, so we're here to talk about spooky bitches. We're going to be talking about the final girls and our favorite good for her moments.
Mm-hmm.
So should we talk first about the Madonna versus the horror complex and Jennifer's body? Because that's my favorite one to talk about.
I mean, that is just one of the most masterfully done sort of examples, I think, of so many of the spaces that we enjoy discussing. We've got queer horror, feminist horror, lots of playing with like gender politics and roles, and also pretty, I think, early in the narrative of that discussion overall. When did that movie come out? It was 2001.
9.
Okay.
9. I had just graduated high school.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was pretty, I think it was pretty progressive and kind of ahead of its time on a lot of fronts. And, you know, it's one, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like, I really revel in a sense of like personal pride when I see a thing and I'm like, well, that's genius. And the rest of the world is like, it's absolute bullshit. Here's why. There will be think pieces about what shit this movie is. Then I just hang out for like 10 years being like, I'm gonna watch it because it's good. And everyone's like, wow, have you guys heard this movie, Jennifer's Body? It's so interesting. It's very, very prescient. I'm like, bitch, she's like, oh my God, stop. Like, this happened and you didn't care. And now here we are. It's sort of an allegory for the problem at hand at the center of this film.
I did that on Don't Worry, Darling. I texted Jules from the credits of Don't Worry, Darling, and I was like, so many men are going to tell me that this is a bad movie. But
where do we all fall on that? I think it's a fascinating workshop.
It's a fascinating movie. You haven't seen it yet?
I liked it. I rewatched
it.
I really did like it a lot. I've shown it to people, and I know that like it's. I have not met anyone that's been lukewarm on that movie.
No, they either hate it or they love it.
Right, with the production and the politics involved and all the tea that was spilled. And the Harry Styles of it all. But I love that movie.
And people, because I went like the day that it opened because we were going to cover it. Yeah. On Still Comfy. And I was like reaching out to people and I was like, no, you don't understand. It's all of the things. It could be categorized as a horror movie, and this is why we get to talk about it. It is literally all of the like doomsday prepping I try to do for women, where I'm like, don't let them get into a basement. Don't let them talk, like listen to Joe Rogan. Don't let them like further isolate themselves. They will take away your autonomy. They will make sure that you're a living doll. They will like take your whole identity and all of your money. And every moment of the movie, I was like, I tell all of my friends this all the time. And men are going to tell me that this is a bad movie. And this is what happened when women get in charge of thriller movies, that they're dramatic.
I've heard far, and I've discussed this film fairly frequently with people whose opinions I really trust and respect in the film community. I find that far more women vehemently dislike this movie than men. Which I don't know if that's like anecdotal or says something about women. Because look, it's so layered because of the Olivia Wilde.
Yeah. Well, and fuck all of that for happening, because I would love to live in a timeline where Olivia Wilde didn't get thrown to the wolves when it came to the PR machine, and that this movie just got to be released.
Can you guys give me some? I can't even think of it.
Darcie, it's the Florence Pugh Harry Styles movie with the 50s background to it.
Okay, and I think all I've heard is that Florence Pugh's like full on. We get like a full on nude of her.
Yes,
is that the one?
We get to watch her have Harry Styles performs oral sex on her on basically a Thanksgiving dinner.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome. I'll be real.
Pretty great.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. But it's a very divisive film, and I'll say what I don't like, and we're so off. I'll say what I don't like about it here. So if a man was making that movie and had any kind of divorce drama happen during, or decided to date one of the starlets that's younger and whatever, I will start singing Taylor Swift. They would be celebrated. What's it like to brag about raking in dollars and whatever? Like, it for real though is like everyday misogyny. And like, to me, the fact that women are so quick, because she's like a home, like all these things, there's just all this stuff in the air about her personal life that, as a person who's had somewhat, well, I've been married twice. I don't want to do this on podcasts. That when you live a life that for any reason of your own doing or no, that invites critique or attention, and then things you do under the specter of that conversation are tainted by public opinion and the like court of public opinion about you, fucking sucks. Because art exists in a neutral space, and this does not happen to men.
I wouldn't say that Florence Pugh is a final girl, but she does have like these good for her moments.
I would say so.
Yeah.
And we can get to that too. What is our definition of a final girl? Because I had to think about that a little bit.
Before I just went into, remember how pissed off I was that people didn't like Don't Worry, Darling? My first question is, let's get the base definition for the final girl or good for her moment. What is a final girl? Because I think that most moviegoers would just be like, it's just the lady who's lucky enough to survive at the end of it. because she's just too pretty or too pure to kill.
To me, the major question was, is it a slasher specific trope? Darcie, do you think it is specific to the slasher genre?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think so. I think because I think it's all seeing her growth, and you see, usually I feel like I don't like the rules, of, the 80s slashers were always like, oh, she's like an innocent virgin. Can't
But you
do
have to
whatever.
discuss them even today about movies because they subvert them, and to understand the subversion, you know what I mean? Like, those rules will never leave the conversation.
No, and it still is very, like, I feel like it's getting like better in ways of like
It's being
not
bended and
being,
stretched in a way that's interesting. Yeah.
but it's definitely like I feel like we need to see her overcome something, or like, I mean, Carrie is a good one, the best one, right? Like, just she's technically not a final
Well,
girl.
I do like the final girl in the movie, which we're left to speculate with that final scene where the hand in the grave. But that is, there are those that it's like a little messier, where there's like the protagonist that does win, for lack of a better term, in the end, because they gave those that needed getting theirs. Like, and I had a few come up like that. Like, I want to say, Promising Young Woman, like, favorite final girl ever, but homegirl, like, my girl died. Well, spoilers, but like,
Because she starts the movie as the final girl. Like,
which is one reason I love that movie too.
it's almost her sequel, because there's been a entire movie's worth of story plot that
That's
you
right.
get
I like that
slowly.
reading of it. She was the final girl from like the first act, and Nina didn't make it. Yeah, I like that. One thing I was thinking about with it is, Darcie, to piggyback on what you were saying, because I think that's totally on the nose. It is a girl or an individual that, because I'm a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street too, an individual that displays what we have classically and traditionally thought of as feminine characteristics in the following senses. They are struggling with an internal something. There's something going on in their life that maybe they're not talking about with their friends, and they're trying to normalize or sort of mask and enjoy all the whatever of high school or wherever it is we're dealing. Typically, they're younger as well, I've found in the genre. So there's a struggle that then manifests or is sort of allegorical to whatever big bad is out there. Like, this didn't make my list, but this is a good sort of blueprint for how wide the net can be cast on who we're talking about with final girls. Like, I would consider Jay from It Follows a final girl, and that's an invisible entity. It's sort of like the Thing. Like, it's like there's not always a monster to point to or a slasher that like might be behind your shower curtain. Like, and that's sort of sometimes the more interesting stories, I think. So I was a little looser with mine. To me, it was like there were some monster movies that came to mind. There were supernatural movies. Like, to me, I was a little surprised at how immediately I went to non-slashers for like some classic final girls, in my opinion.
I think the way that like you worded it, and sorry, when we started talking about it, Natalie, was like, you said the good for her moments, where I honestly think if I went into this just saying final girl, I probably would have gone like, okay, or traditional, like Sydney Prescott, like Laurie Strode. And it's like, but also there's so many, I feel like, better, stories in movies that aren't, pressed out to, or pushed out to like 8 movies, and they still can have that same effect. One for me is, have you guys seen American Mary?
He's on my list, and it's like probably will be in the next 2 films I watch. That's gonna be one of
so
them.
it's like coming up.
It really is. So I'll hit you back on that, but I'm excited.
Okay, yeah,
I'm writing it down.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
I love the directors. I love the lead actor. Like, I'm so in about everything on this film.
I think you're really gonna like it. I'm definitely would love to hear what you guys
I love
think.
body horror. I love feminist horror.
Oh yeah,
like, I like the Soska sister. Like, I'm down.
It's the Soska's, I think, best movie.
That's what I've heard. So
yeah, I'm
so really interested.
When I tell you that a friend of mine recently said, I'm starting Yellow Jackets for the first time, and I went, I would literally wipe my own memory.
I would give so much. I know.
I would carve out part of my brain to to experience Yellow Jackets for the first time again.
I'm like halfway through the second season and Michael was like catching up and we were going to watch it together. And then it's just kind of like all this time has been passed and I'm like, I'm just going to finish it without you. But I need like to be in the perfect, like, I think I'm going to wait till
Oh, girl.
after.
Talk about final girls. It's these women. Number one, I read a book and it was called Beauty Queens and it was by Libba Bray. And it was what would happen if a plane full of Miss Teen USA contestants crashed on a deserted island, and now it is Lord of the Flies, but with beauty queens. And it had so much really good, like, millennial social commentary. Like, it had footnotes that had like inside like jokes about like, well, do you remember when we saw this all on Seinfeld or whatever? And it was so witty and so well done that I knew I was going to love Yellow Jackets because I love Christina Ricci and Juliette Lewis.
God, yeah. So it was like just the cast is so stacked.
So good.
And to think about those final girls being like, we crawled and clawed out of the wilderness where we may or may not have eaten our friends to just be like, yeah, I'll be a housewife. That'll be cool. It'll be fine.
Right.
It'll be
Shauna's
okay.
the best.
Shauna's the best.
Oh, she is absolutely the best. Melanie Linsky is one of my favorite actresses or humans of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I love her so much.
I think that's always it for me when it comes to the final girls is their ability to endure, but then to also just be thrown back into a normal society. And we're like, what do you mean you don't know how to do the PTA?
Well, but what's so interesting about horror movies, and I've always, since I was 9 watching my first horror movies, like I've always wondered, so there's that whole, like, do you like a happy ending or do you want the destruction of the earth? And I'm like, kind of either will do the same thing to me because when the lights come up and the sun rises and Woodsboro is all like, oh, at least Sydney's safe, like, all I can think is like, what about her tomorrow? Like, was she gonna go like get a job at a frozen yogurt shop? Like, she's fucked. Like, that's like I don't even know how you can, like, right? This is an obvious question, but like, so to me, there is no happy ending. Like, these final girls, like, which is why I love the idea of like, I haven't read it and I want to so bad. The Grady Hendrix Final Girl Support Group.
I've read it. It's really good.
I want to. That's on my list too. But
It's on my list. I think I have it next to my stack of movie books that I never get to. But
I have those all over my house, literally. They're now cat beds.
The thing about Yellow Jackets and Final Girls and the Final Girls Support Club thinking about have you guys watched? It just came out on Thursday. So if you haven't, I implore you to do it because it's just good 80s fun with a millennial lens. I watched Totally Killer last night off of Prime.
I just got suggested that from someone.
Yes.
where is it?
It's on Prime.
Prime, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it has like...
who is it that's in it? Because I was like, I want to watch it.
Sabrina from the Chilling Tales of Adventures. Yeah. Karen and Chip. Yeah. So anyways, she's literally just had like, I think it's in the preview that her mom gets slaughtered. And then she goes to school the next day. And I texted my friend. I was like, why the fuck is she at school? I was like, if my mom dies, I go, if my mom's murdered, I'm never going to anything ever again.
I unsubscribe from society.
I
Like,
unsubscribe.
You're just like, geometry.
And then she's like sitting through the gym teacher, like fucking giving a self-defense class. And I'm like, no.
Also, now we're
not.
just like, let's get I do have to say in this conversation, it would be so remiss not to mention the movie, The Final Girls.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen that, it's so good. The horror comedy that's actually very touching, and
We just rewatched it for like I haven't seen it since it came out.
I will truly say that I am a sicko, and like part of the adrenaline rush for me in horror, like I loved Bodies because no one was
I
going to look
rewatched
at
that
me
one. I rewatched that one a lot.
like
Me
a
too, I
crack
liked it.
pot when I'm just bursting into giggles because Lee Pace is in it. I'm like, well, you
Everything about that movie, and it grew on me like mold, you guys. Like, I disliked it.
part of the thing I think that it is about horror and why it'll send tingles from my toes to my head, while like, good horror that's just like really tense, just like Barbarian level tense, when the entire time you're like, don't stop it. And
Oh, that's so genius of that movie.
I just tingle from my toes to my head. And I think it's because like, I'm always like, my life as a cisgendered woman living in a world of men has prepared me at every point of the way to be watching a horror movie and to just be screaming in my head, girl, no, stop it. We are women living in this world. This is not, we know better, but now I'm victim blaming.
Well, no, but now it's fabulous because so many women are involved, more need to be, but so many are now in a way that's important. That you can feel the weight of them knowing that. So it's almost like Scream meta, where it's like you know the rules and it's going to get you anyway. And then that's like you're rooting for the like, get there and have a good for her moment, which that was on my list actually, Barbarian.
But this is what bothered me about Barbarian. Not that anything bothered me about the movie. It was a perfect movie. But I sat in wait and I went too hard for bodies to be like, I want to talk about bodies on a microphone. So then when Barbarian happened, no one called me to talk about Barbarians on a microphone. Everyone gets Skarsgård's character wrong because they're like, see, he was just a good boy and she was just
No, the whole magic of that movie is that she defied and beat every level of boss. Here's what it is. It's like you're playing a 90s pixelated video game meant for boys, and you are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and you get to the boss on level 1. And that guy's just a crap. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry, I'm offending a lot of people. I did used to play that with my brother, but let's say that guy's like a crab with like fireballs, and like you're like, okay, this is fine because real quick you learn if you jump on his head while he's doing the fire, whatever. Get it? Go. You go to the next board. You got boss number 2. This guy's a little taller. He's got henchmen. You're like, oh, okay. But if I do my like super speed run or something, it'll get that, right? Then by the end, you're like, I'm a 9-year-old girl and I'm terrified because this thing is like the size of my whole screen and I have no fucking clue what to employ to beat this. So in that movie, we got to see these like from everyday horror to monster movie horror. And she actually showed resilience in a way that I wanted to stand up and clap for at every freaking step. She is in my top 5 final girls of all time.
Here's what it was for me when it came to the Skarsgård
Be my baby
character.
while she's doing her like walk of like victory down. Oh my god, like chef's kiss, perfect.
This is what got me about Skarsgård in that fucking movie, which everyone was charmed by him, and I was like, that's right, he gaslit you just like he gaslit her.
Well, like it's just what it is it's so in our actual society that behavior is so normalized,
because
and excused and expected. That the fact that he did not murder her
is a win.
Yeah.
We're gonna be like, well, he didn't rape her. He didn't
even try to slip anything in her drink.
He didn't try to sell her meat. I mean, guys, what are we asking men to like cure cancer? This guy's golden. Go, you're good.
Wrap it up. He's a perfect gentleman. And it's so great talking about this movie with women because that movie outlines something that I think is a very feminine experience where it's like, I laid down a boundary. I did not want to have a glass of wine with you. So immediately, all of a sudden, you're like, fine, I'm going to have a glass of wine and I'm opening it in front of you.
Right? None of that was an accident. It wasn't just to show the audience that she's warming up and they're getting familiar. That was 100% to me anyway. And I don't care. I enjoy it as much either way. If they didn't mean for me to take this or if it was very like cleverly written into it, it's a mirror to reality. So I appreciate it. But yeah, all I took away from that was she ended up drinking.
Yeah.
And that was the goal.
And that was his goal. And it was just itty bitty things like that.
But then it was like her idea to be like, oh, help me with my bed. Oh, maybe we want to kiss. Like, and it's just too real. Like,
it's too real. And when I listen to reviews of it, they're always like,
kids told not to take candy from strangers, but women are encouraged to share a glass of wine.
Just share a glass of wine. He opened it right in front of you. You're going to be a bitch and not take that glass of wine?
That would have been her being rude, essentially.
When I listened to reviews of it, it was always like, oh, and that's so nice that they left a good guy in there because he was like the like bait and switch. I go, no, he was a bad man too. The point of that movie is they're all bad men.
Yeah, it's like Drake, no new friends. This is like no good guys. There's not a good guy in this movie.
Legit. The cop that doesn't believe her. Justin Long, who's trying to get off of a rape charge. Like, they're all bad guys. Daddy in his diaper.
and P-Jugs. Just like reminiscing on the old days when he just freely raped the whole neighborhood. And then
I was about to say his name and then I like blanked on it. Richard Brake.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
such a creep in it.
Oh my god, such a creep.
They handed us a monster and this very like Barbarian-esque lady, this super strength lady who was trying to breastfeed Justin Long.
Who was the ultimate victim of
Who was the
movie?
ultimate victim.
I mean,
and then by the end of it, you're like, she's not the monster. Fucking men are the monsters. And this is what happened.
I want a wolf and cub movie with like our final girl and the mommy monster.
Yes.
I want a world where she can take her to a safe place and
and they are cocaine bears. And they are cocaine bear. That's what I want. But she is also one of my favorite final girls. And
100%.
I made myself go see Men, even though
I didn't
was just
see
gonna
that.
say
I
it.
didn't see that.
It was
Tell
bad.
me things about this movie because I didn't see it.
Okay.
So number one, Men was a movie.
And I've
that
only
was
heard
made.
men talk about it.
Yeah, of course you have.
It's
And
amazing.
they hated it.
You loved
No.
Men. Darcie.
I loved it. I saw it twice in
good. I
theater.
can't wait to
Darcie.
watch it. Everything I heard about that, people hated it. I'm looking at you, Bloody Good Horror.
I would
They hated it.
Darcie, I would love you to explain to us why you loved Men.
You know, I'll tell you exactly why. I'll bring out my letterbox review because I can't remember. I can't remember anything. It's a long one. It's actually one of my most liked reviews too.
Okay,
Okay,
all
You're
right,
just
well-
like making me more interested.
Wow, I absolutely love this movie. I read a review where someone said that the director, Alex Garland, hates women, and I think that couldn't be further from the truth. This is a terrifying movie that really shows the fears that women face, especially when dealing with toxic masculinity. I personally believe that this is an accurate depiction about the way women are treated in society. If you choose to stand up for yourself, especially against your abuser, you're at fault and dangerous in a man's eyes. If this can't convince you to stay, then you can choose. They can choose to torment you. However they choose, and sometimes no one cares to help you. Guilt is a very serious tactic that men try to control women, and I see it all the time. Again, I love this movie and everything it stands for. I know it takes a hard left about an hour in, but I enjoyed where it went. If you're offended or grossed out by this movie, open your eyes because this shit happens all the time. And then I just went on about how I love body horror. And
I love that review. And I truly believe that that's what Men thought it was doing. Like, I truly believe that that's their thesis statement. But when I watched Men, I was convinced that it was doing that, but in the most, like, grossest, like, and this is what women are always complaining about way. Like, this is how they visualize us. And I don't know if it's because it was a male creator and a male-driven team. I was like, this is them just making fun of us.
He's an ally. No, 100%. Like, have you seen Ex Machina or Annihilation?
yes,
Probably, but it's probably been years.
Both, like, I think, like, pretty gorgeous love letters to just, like, women in horror. And I think almost like Ex Machina, what was her name? I want to say Eva, but that's Wally that I just watched with my daughter.
I can't remember her name either.
She's so pretty. Oh, gosh, I'm, like, popping the mic. She's so pretty. She was in everything. That's gonna bum. Like, do you have your internet
I got you.
things, Darcie?
Got you. Are you looking for the actress?
Yes.
What you're asking for? It's Alicia Vikander.
What is
Ava?
Ava. Oh, look how close I was.
You were close.
Okay,
You're very
so
close.
I feel like that movie, I almost consider her a final girl, which is
Interesting,
such
yeah.
an interesting, like, with the current sort of surge and interest about AI. Go, everyone, watch the movie. Watch
Watch a movie.
I haven't seen it.
Just watch that movie. But Annihilation 2, I think, is a really interesting example of a man directing a female cast in a way that I feel is really respectful and super honors the source material. Great book if you haven't read it.
You know, I just found it to be a really ingenuine movie, but maybe that's my internalized bias because
Which one?
Men.
Oh, okay.
It's my internalized bias against male film creatives because I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll rewatch it or I won't. It was so long, everybody.
It's very
so
it's
long.
interesting,
Sometimes
but I did.
I'm in the mood for that.
I saw it twice in theaters.
About Grace Ledomas in Ready or Not.
I have her on my list.
Oh, yes.
Dude.
I'm obsessed
I like
with that
so
movie.
many. Dude, that movie. Okay. That movie checks so many boxes.
Mm-hmm. I watch it all the time.
It is my every holiday movie. If it's 4th of July, I'm watching it. If it's like Arbor Day, watching it. Thanksgiving. It's never not time for that movie. I freaking love it.
Yeah,
I
love
had
it.
to
Totally agree.
beg. I had to beg,
You've seen it?
plead. Yes. and I saw it at a man's house. Dun, dun, dun. And
I watched that movie at just the right time in my life. By myself in the theater.
I literally had to beg for it. I was like, no, I want to watch this movie. It's about a bride who gets tricked into marrying a man, and then his family tries to eat her or something, and she's got a shotgun, and I want to watch it.
Here's why I love
movie.
Her. I watch every single breath she takes that is captured on film. I do not dislike anything she's done. Same. And I get that that's not a popular opinion, I guess, for some of the things, but I just love her. I absolutely love her. And this is her sort of like, look at me. It's sort of her like debutante down the staircase. I feel like it's just this like showcase for her to be all of the things. She is so vulnerable. She is so manipulated. She's great at just like being scared and screaming. She's so scrappy. Like
when she rips her dress.
Oh, the rip of the dress. Like but it's so emblematic. It's so symbolic. I feel like for so many women who have ever been a bride and like a wedding that maybe the marriage didn't work, or like you feel duped on the other end of something. Like it's very on the nose because we're in the horror genre and that's what you do. But like, I mean, when I saw it, it was so cathartic because it was like I'm watching a physical sort of like representation of the carnage that comes with not knowing who you're marrying, or maybe not knowing the family you're marrying into. And her final scene where she is sitting in her freaking Converse, all like bloody ripped up with the cigarette, and nobody in that family wanted her to smoke, all the stuff. That is like get up and clap. Good for her, and one of my favorite final girls.
Yeah.
So freaking good. And then what is the thing she says about the cop comes over and is like, looks like a heck of a night or something, and she's like, fuck marriage. There's some
fuck
she's like
marriage.
Great, like I don't remember what it was.
Fuck husbands.
In-laws.
And fuck in-laws.
She goes in-laws. That's all she says.
In-laws. Okay,
in-laws.
Yeah. That's so great.
Okay, so the thing about Ready or Not is we see that it's in a very smaller scale that we see that as women, but we watch women in bad marriages and we
that
go,
happened to me. This movie, they didn't try to kill me.
Might as well.
And we tell people like, oh, you're young. Oh, you'll figure it out. Oh, be more patient with him. Oh, she's your mother-in-law, whatever. And then we also see the aftermath of trying to like leave that abusive situation where the family gathers around the abuser and is like, not my kid.
Yes. What I like about
perfect.
that movie is it acknowledges that dynamic present and ever present in that family. You will never be part of the family.
Right.
It is not your money. That is not your mother. This is all being shown to you because you have been a lucky chosen one to enter into the hallway of the mansion in which they live. It is not your house. The way they represent it in the end of that movie, spoilers, please go watch that movie. It's probably streaming everywhere. But the end of that movie where it is literally shown to the viewers, the only way you get to truly leave a situation like this is if they all literally blow up. Because otherwise, you've got 12 people in a room that don't take kindly to losing. Games, people, in life, they don't like it. So, like, the odds that you're going to get to just run away in your cute Converse and leave it and start your life anew without the chains that this family was trying to show you as if it was, like, treasure, it's slim to none. And so I thought that was, like, both a very gratifying ending for the movie we were watching and the genre we're familiar with, but also a really subtly and kind of sneakily sort of wedged in kind of allegory for when the abuse occurs, not even just on the level of your significant other, but it's sort of a generational almost legacy. Like you see that has happened and it's how this clan has formed for so long that like what you're going to be the one to stop this. Like you can't fight City Hall. So the fact that they do by their own hand and because of their own ineptness and even being as evil as they want to, that they just explode at the end is like everything about it's so bravo. It's so
amazing.
Like it's so good. It's so good.
I think I like screamed like in joy when that
100%.
happened at the theater. Like
Totally.
It's great.
For one thing, like again, marketing teams are brilliant, and it happened with Jennifer's Body too, where they know how to sell a movie so it will stream everywhere. So they're like, "Don't worry, it's a thirst trap. She's a lady with a shotgun and a dress."
Oh
like,
yeah, the images they choose to be like Netflix
Yeah.
Are y'all familiar with the fact that they recommend it in a different image still to your boyfriend or your husband or your
Oh,
mom?
I did
Because
not.
I have seen the same movies on
Huh?
my mom's Netflix that it's like, you should watch. Even whatever, Virgin River. And it's just like two people holding hands like it's a Nicholas Sparks. Then it's on mine, it's like, hey bitch,
Okay.
I know you want to see some blood or something.
Right.
You want to watch this Virgin River? And it's got some like super shady looking dude like over in the back behind, like, I'm gonna kill this girl. And I'm like, maybe I want to watch that. I don't
Virgin
know.
River's so boring, and I'm so sorry that
Well, I
Netflix
clicked
is
on it once
lying
to
to
be
you.
like, I don't know. I can get down with some Lifetime movie network, like
Oh,
Babysitter Eats My Husband, but no, that's not what it is at all.
but like, so I watch it, and I was like, this movie's going to be a barrel of laughs. And because I'm sick, I did laugh through all of it because I love when women are taking guns to the patriarchy. And like, of course, men are scared of me when I'm watching horror movies, and they watch the glee light up in my face when I'm like, this is a woman who's going to take a gun to his entire family, and she's going to shoot up capitalism. And again, we see that in real life where we're watching a woman get herself out of a bad situation through a breakup or a divorce or honestly fleeing from their family in the middle of the night.
This is such a good place to interject with another final girl.
Go
Like,
for
you're
it.
literally setting me up. Are
Go
you
for it.
there? Are you doing the same one?
I think this is, well, let's see, because
1,
I
2,
was
3.
going to
Okay, let's do
say,
it. Hold on,
this
it's gonna be
reminds
Step
me
Brothers.
of
1, 2, 3.
You're Next.
Thomason. Oh. Yes. The witch.
They're
You're
both
Next.
great. Thomason was on mine too. But I was
Totally.
thinking Aaron and
Oh,
You're
you're next. Aaron and you're next. Okay, let's go there because she was number 3 on my list.
She reminds me of like Grace
Her and
and
Samara
Waves.
Weaving, there's DNA
Mhm.
shared for sure in
Oh,
the
yeah.
final girlness. Yeah.
And it's like a similar
It is a similar
story in a
setup. Like,
way.
I call that the dinner party horror, where it's like there's a galvanizing event where all the weird rich whoever come out. I
Yeah.
love it. I love that construct, and that's an earlier example that is also superb.
And they
And I
really,
love that you get like Ty West, AJ Bow. It's like that whole like what is
I
it, Splat
know.
Pack or whatever they used to call them.
Yeah,
Great.
all my favorites from Adam Wingard, I
Adam
think is one of
Winger.
them too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, so good.
Have you seen that, Natalie?
I'm looking at it, and I know it was one that I wanted to see, and I'm not sure if I ever got to see it. You
Well,
know,
tonight we're
think
either watching Your Next or American Mary, so we'll have to focus.
I mean, honestly, like, and it is spooky season, and I try to watch one scary movie a week, if not one every night of the weekend, if I'm not exhausted.
Put this on your list.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Your Next. What I love about that and how the feminine final girl sort of angle is explored is that she ends up very similar story where I don't want to spoil it for you, Natalie, if you're watching, but it's the
Don't
price of
forget
admission to host a
ADHD.
podcast. Yeah. So she is represented as just a very standard final girl throughout the whole film. She's being ganged up on by this family that you're obviously like, well, something's creepy kind of going on. And then it becomes very explicit that something creepy is going on. And there are some twists that are great. But my favorite thing about the movie is the moment the needle drops on the fact that she is like a straight up, like, Bear Grylls style, like, survival, but for real, isn't he fake? Like, she's like, was trained by her dad to be like a natural survivalist. So with no tool, like, she knows how to like quickly assemble weapons from just like chopstick, like it's like a final girl MacGyver, and you get to watch her just go bananas ape shit on like all these people that you're like, and again, it's a money driven sort of the plot. So it's a similar kind of like the rich sort of don't underestimating the other that they're letting, fortunately enough, join their clan, and it's great. It's a really it's like Inglourious Bastards for like shitty families with money.
Yeah, probably.
But no, I love it because
I love too that her dad taught her. So it's it is an interesting like mother or daughter father relationship where it's like it does show this sort of pretty directly. It shows an example of the patriarchy helping her survive in a way that's
and so
giving
many
her
movies.
tools.
So many movies are fathers and sons, fathers and their sons.
Oh yeah, so much
fathers and their sons. But it's one of those things where it's like If only I could get every woman in a room who I've ever, like, held both of their cheeks in my hands and gone, leave, and let me know when you're ready to leave because I have cash, I have a room, I have a car, let's go pack up your stuff, whatever. And I could just, like, and it's always like, their family's good to me, their family's good to my kids, we have a dog together, we have a kid together, blah, 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 money, 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 paperwork and bank accounts or whatever. And then to watch movies like Ready or Not or You're Next, where it's like, those people are, like you said, Elizabeth, those people are never going to be on your side. When push comes to shove and he has you up against a wall, or he's drained your bank account, or he's drinking every night until 3 a.m., they're never on your side. No. Blood is thicker than water. And Always. This is how people act.
And you don't just get to leave, is the thing. No. It's like a fraternal order of bullshit. Like, truly, it's like you're in the mob. Like, it's not like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. They can't have a loose end. Truly, it's like a social version of that, where it's like, well, you can't just be out in the world telling all your secrets, or because there always are with that amount of money. Like,
and so often these families are just covering up for these men and just being like, it's not even that bad. It's not even that bad. Yeah. Stop it. And they're doing part of the gaslighting for him.
I was going to say, it's like gaslighting by proxy. It's
but
a
Christmas
whole
is coming up.
Yeah.
No,
the way that starts to, I need everyone to hear, this is a public service announcement.
This is public service announcement.
Ladies, if you are ever going to the movies, going out to eat, if it's your anniversary, if it's Christmas Eve, if you have kids, if you don't, if you're married, if you're single, if it's one date with this guy and that he says this, run. Because this is where it begins. This is the one red flag that, like, this is it. Like, you need to go. Because I've experienced this multiple times, and it never, ever ends well. When a man says to you, well, we were supposed to go see this movie, hear this band, dinner with my mom for Christmas, birthday for our child, but now the night's about this. Because you had a thought or a feeling about something.
Oh.
You need to get the fuck out.
Oh, when he says Christmas could have been perfect, and then you were upset because I put cashews in the moment. Salad.
There's a difference. I will argue that there's a difference when it's a few days later, and they're like, hey, that would have been really nice, but this happened. In the moment, if a person turns to you and says about anything, I was supposed to eat this pizza from Sam's Club in the Sam's Club warehouse, and this was going to be a good afternoon, but now it's about this. Because you say something like, hey, when we are out with your friends, like, could you not be like, or like say make jokes like I'm dumb, or like make jokes about my sexual, like anything. It could be benign, it could be huge. When that is the response, that is like the Titanic tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Legit. Yeah. And the roots of that go deeper than you ever want to explore.
Mm-hmm. Because that's going to be your value to them from day one to day 1001, where it's like,
it's their tell.
Yeah.
They don't know that it is, but it is. So everyone, you should just listen to that. Like, It just is, because that is representative of incredibly deep-seated, I hate all the buzzwords. I'm going to find a different word. Self-respect that trumps literally everything. Like, it is a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
To even a good night, regardless of whether you have a migraine or your mom is sick or whatever. Well, if the night now is about this, then what you're telling me is you don't want your nights about me. Like, it's more important that Terminator, the new, like, whatever is enjoyable to you than you hear me say a thing.
Just a Rolodex of men are going through my head. Just a Rolodex.
It's ever present. Like, when you find one that doesn't, if you have a bad time and a person says to you, a man specifically, you can feel how you need to feel. Fuck the concert. I'll call my friends. My mom will deal. Like, that's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that's a different kind of long con that I have not yet experienced or encountered, and we should all be more terrified than I know. But, like, that is showing up in a way that's, like, actually standing in your room and seeing you, and is not dismissive, and is putting you first in a real way. Like, so, for real, I don't care if you've been married for 10 years. Think about it. Anyone listening, if you often hear, well, tonight was going to be about me trying the new chicken cacciatore at Chabelle, whatever. But now it's about this.
Well, and it's so you're just going to ruin tonight over what? Whatever
Right.
this
Your
is.
feelings.
Whatever this
Yeah.
is. So you can't just deal so we can get to the movie.
That also presupposes that you owe them a good time. What does that remind you of?
The way that we've been trained to be indentured servants in our own relationships and families is so ridiculously mind-boggling to unpack. And then when you start to deprogram it and you watch your friends and your loved ones and your...
The backlash of...
Yeah. The backlash of just like watching people being like, hey, he's treating you like you're a second date and he feels like he should get to second base. You've been married for 7 years. Like, where is your respect?
I needed friends like you, Natalie. And I have great friends, but like, I think it's no, for real though, it's a testament to the structure of society and the hold it has over us. Because like, I don't think about those people that didn't come forward and be like, hey, when I know that's what they thought because after the fact said it. But it's not that I'm like, you had some onus of response, but to me, it's like we were also bent and backwards and upside down because of the way we were raised, that people didn't feel comfortable that I know loved me coming forward and saying a thing they actually thought or believed or thought would help me. And to be very honest, I was not in my journey far enough along to hear it and have that person. It would have been an episode of freaking Friends. Shoot the messenger. Like, it would literally unfold like a 90s sitcom where I'm mad at you, not at the person I should be mad at, because how dare you bring this up 2 days before my destination wedding or what? Like, there's not ever a good time. Like, I don't fault anyone for not doing that. It just sucks that we live in a world where that is not the
I'd rather mind my business and make sure that you're going to a safe house.
I am going through this right now with a friend, and like I have like a lot of reasons to feel this way about my friend's boyfriend, and it's not speculation. It's all factual things that have happened that I've even
I can tell by the tone of your voice.
Yeah, like it's from her telling me or my husband telling me, and like I did address it and I got so fucking close. I thought like she called me in the middle of the night to come over, and like that was like I was like, okay, she's gonna see I got her to listen to Tolerate It and posted the lyrics.
That song changed my life.
I can imagine. Like if that was out during certain times in my life, it would have like wrecked me.
It's gratifying watching women in horror like literally take a rifle to these people because you're like, if only I could take.
Right.
Well, but that kind of art is important. That the extreme, and I think even like specifically visual example of a reaction to a natural societal sort of construct or something in which you are stuck like a web. Like one of us cannot go out in the streets of our respective cities and just pair loud enough or get on a tall enough soapbox that people are like, oh, well, okay, I need to listen. So like, yeah, if it takes absolute mayhem, carnage, cannibalism, like rape revenge film, if it takes all of it all the time because someone's dad might accidentally watch it on HBO one afternoon, please go forth and
you mean how everyone's
gore going? Like I love it.
Remember when everyone's boyfriend and husband got better for a week after the Barbie movie because they were like, wait, I think
I didn't get any letters after Barbie. I got a few emails after the Me Too explosion and all.
Oh, me
so
too.
I was like,
oh,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. No, you did that. Like,
right. Dude, I shared the thing about Barbie is prompting girls or people to leave toxic
women to break up with her.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like the mainstream Midsummer.
Dude, my friend freaking liked it, and then all this stuff happened like within the week. And dude, like we're not talking now, and like our group of friends like are like all the girls are weird towards me, and I think like because they're only getting like, because I'm not gonna sit here and go around like I want to go around and trash this dude. Trust me, I do. But I know what I've been in the situation 10 years before. And my friend who was in this relationship, we're like very close now. And she's like, I can see myself in this situation with your current friend. And I'm like, I know eventually, hopefully this ends and like she'll see.
It will. However,
it will.
I use all of the buzzwords, right? Because I know all of the buzzwords, and I also have a pretty good read on people. So I use things like, oh, so you're just signing up to be a subject of a Dateline television episode.
Right.
So, and they'll parrot them back to you because, again, we've been conditioned to also believe that, like, one day soon, at some point, we ourselves will be some sort of victim of violence. Like, we have all of
No,
the.
here's what's okay. Talk about the Madonna horror complex. Sorry to interject, but this is,
No,
to me,
go
I want
for
to
it.
write a think piece on sort of branching off of that theory and ideology that is so prevalent in society and film and art. There is also this, like, it's like you are either victim or survivor in a way that is like it's like a choose your own adventure where you are not writing the story, but it's definitely reduced to, it becomes your sort of responsibility in a way that I don't think is always fair due to circumstance, to leave or stay or know what's right. Like, where it's like another Taylor Swift song that applies here is the "It's Time to Go." Is that it? It's time to go. It's time to leave. It's so good. But yeah, I think that, yeah, there's a lot to say sort of about where you're going with that.
Right. So, in the back of our minds, we have all of this language about how, like, it's like, wear skirts to your knees, watch your drinks, don't be out after dark, walk in groups, keep your keys in your hand. We're constantly filled that we are going to be a victim of some sort of violence at some point. It will never be on our terms. It will always be our fault, whatever. So women that you are interacting with who are in these types of, like, volatile, toxic relationships, they know exactly what to say to you, where they're like, I know that what happens when, it gets to that point, like, I'll get hurt, or I'll get, these are the type of guys that kill their wives or whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool. Stop bringing them to Thanksgiving. Like, because what if he gets angrier at me because I'm telling you, like, we can pack up your stuff today?
Right? If you're in this situation, and your friend probably should too, Darcie, you should read Leave No Bruise. I believe that's what it's called. It's or No Visible Bruise. I will get back to it. It's fabulous, and it's about the slow evolution of resentment, disrespect to resentment, to anger, to hatred, and how it's like literally the story of, like, a normal white man from a normal family in a normal neighborhood just married a pretty blonde white girl, and everybody was like, okay, it's kind of weird. And then, like, it's like a horror story. Like, it's told by the woman's family. He killed her. Like, it's like it really sometimes does get there. And, like, you can't, it's death by 1,000 cuts. You can't tell when it's happening because it's not one day that it happens. It has been happening for the decade you've decided to stay with this person.
And the entire time that it's not happening, they're using all of their energy and all of your time to make sure that you honestly believe that this is good, and that the times where he is violent or volatile or pouty or shitty or
it's
emotional,
allowed because of what they give you. And that
Yeah.
not only is from the man, it's from all of society, down to your grandma. Like, they've got to take care of you. They've got to support. Well, does he pay for things when you go out? Well, all these markers of, like, success, or if they care about you, that also can represent financial control, which is on the wheel of abuse, where, like, we literally are taught sometimes in the society, and all societies, I'm sure, that encourage dating or trusting men, that red flags sometimes are a carnival. Sometimes it just means they're really fun, or they
Yeah.
love you a lot. Like,
You haven't seen the good side. You haven't seen all the good things.
It's because, again, we've all known someone or have lived in the abuse cycle ourselves, where it's like, hey, we have a chart for this. So yeah, he was volatile today, and now we're honeymooning for 2 months.
it's
But
the
we're
love bombing.
Yeah, but I said, I was like, you're being
Yeah,
love
yeah.
bombed. Like, I'm watching you be love bombed.
But we're
100% with that one.
honeymooning just so the next time that he's volatile, he can throw back at you. I don't understand. So I'm just not allowed to get upset anymore. So every time I get upset, you're going to tally it.
In my own house, I can't verbalize an opinion about a female politician in my own house. Well, sir, where's my own house? Where are my boundaries about how people speak about women, politics or not? We are going to have a daughter. I'm very uncomfortable with where this goes. Like, in horror, what it does is put this in your eyes in a way that any fucking idiot Tom, Dick, or Harry can sit in a seat and be like, well, yeah, that's just scary. I mean, yeah, if we were fucking slashing their ankles and shit, I could understand it, but we ain't doing none of that shit. Why are they fucking us? And I'm like, I hope every incel in America accidentally goes and sees all of these movies that are brilliantly marketed as tits and ass and Megan Fox kissing a girl. Please keep doing that. Please keep doing that so that asses get in seats that actually need to hear this, because it does no good, you guys, if it's just awesome spooky babes like us going to be like, yes, we know. Like, take your boyfriends, take your husbands. If it breaks you up, good. If he leaves that movie theater and feels bad for Christian in the bear suit, you're done. Like, that happened to me, and that was the biggest red flag. I should have been like, and so that I think is what ultimately Final Girls, like, they get there, the good ones, and like, you feel like you gained a friend in the greater war of whatever the big bad patriarchy is. And it's heartening to see someone fucking survive it. End of the story.
Also, one of my favorite Final Girls is the final girl who survived Sebastian Stan on Hulu's
Flesh. From Fresh.
Yeah,
She's
Fresh.
on my list.
Because she
gets her assy, not...
Yeah, no, but like literally like a sirloin.
Yeah.
He's selling her for meat.
For meat on the black market. But literally, the moment that you know, oh, she's going to turn his gaslighting bullshit around on him, because men will believe that they are lovable and that they are likable because they've never had to believe that they're not likable or lovable.
I felt such connection to her character, Noah, because when I watch movies, especially like home invasion, anything where there's like any kind of relationship between the captive, like if they are interested in the cat and mouse at all, to me it is so unbelievable that a woman would not employ every inch of her wiles, all the brain cells, all the, like, you are going to die.
Mm-hmm.
At every turn where she was like, I'll flirt with him, I'll wear this dress, let's dance, I'll eat the boob, I'll kiss him, I'll go down on him. I'm like, yes, yep. And I hope my daughter does that too one day if she is being sold part for fucking meat for Richmond to eat.
The thing about Fresh and the whole like turning their gaslighting against them is like, I really do want to hit home that like we can and should and will do it, because men truly live in this like utopia, especially white men, where it's like they've never had to fear us. Like they're like, what do you mean I'm not lovable and likable?
Oh, you're just giving me an intro for mine. This is great.
Like, what do you mean? I'm the most lovable and likable guy in the world. That is what society tells me. That's why I have all the money and all of your body autonomy.
Yes. And if they manipulate you into liking them or staying with them, they're doing you a favor because they're so great.
Because they're
and
so
you
great.
Probably would have found some bullshit dude anyway. So like,
flipping it on them, I'm like, oh, this is why the incels are getting... This is why the loneliness epidemic in men is starting to become our problem, where they're screaming at us on YouTube and TikTok. Like, why won't you just love us? Because they've started to realize, wait a minute, do women know how to gaslight? And it's like, yeah, motherfucker, you can't gaslight the gaslit.
Here you go. You ready? Natalie?
Go for it.
Natalie, have you seen a little film from 1999 called Audition?
No, I don't even think I've heard of that one.
Darcie?
I love Audition.
Okay, so let me just be bold here and say Asami Yamazaki might be my number one final girl. She is the monster and she survives. And I am obsessed. So in short, Natalie and listeners, a beautiful young woman is answering an ad for a casting call for it's been years I've seen it, but that's on the rewatch too. For a commercial,
I saw it for the first
like
time
ad agency
during COVID times, so I've only seen it. So it's like not super fresh, but sorry, keep going.
Plug it up. Actually, just did an episode on it. Check it out. But yeah. So she goes to the audition. She gets selected. The audition ends up being a total sham. That a businessman and his friend suggested he do this so that he could find a new wife, because his wife died, and he's this very sympathetic character at the beginning. He's mourning. He doesn't want to be alone for the rest of his life. He just wants a nice girl. He just wants somebody that like he meets organically.
Shout out to Gary, the Golden Bachelor.
Oh, girl, yes. We could talk about that offline. As organically as can happen when fabricating a job, to have a woman come in and literally stand in front of him and be like, "Oh, turn now, you can see my backside," and then like say something about
Creepy.
soap, and he picks her. He picks the wrong one, and she then spends the rest of the movie like psychologically, emotionally, and then in the crescendo, incredibly physically eviscerated, like just torturing him.
My hero.
And I wanna be scared of her, but really I kind of just want to go get lunch. I really want to be like, look, the way you go about it, let's fine tune that a bit. We have the internet now. Like, you can eviscerate in multiple many ways. But I like your moxie, and good for you. Like,
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
that dude. Because his grief is none of your business.
Right.
And he does not deserve to audition wives. Mm-hmm.
No. And she's
And
thinking
he
she's
picks
getting a
him.
movie role. You know what I mean?
Girl, what she's doing is going to work.
Right. Literally.
She's going to work.
Yeah.
I used to serve catfish for like a long time. And I was just going to work. If someone showed up at a table and pretended to...
No.
It's such a good movie, you guys.
It's so good.
Oh,
I
need
to rewatch it.
No, I love that, because in your explanation, I didn't understand that she didn't know she was auditioning to be a wife. She was auditioning to be a starlet. And like the rage that would have started in my belly and gone to my ears to be like, oh, fuck, are you really
Because you
thought?
watch her art too of like, I'm special. It's Japanese, so there's this like, you get to see in this really cool and also terrifying way how the misogyny transcends language and culture. Because there is so much about that movie that is like, I think, very specific to Japanese culture, and especially like Japanese media or like representation on film. Because you're not gonna, it's not familiar. This is not a casting couch situation. Like, it's very formal. It's very, and that almost like gives you the sterile sort of like lens through which to look at this. Where then when you get to see it devolve at the hands of a mad woman, she's not for a reason. Like, I'm fine. Girl, go ahead.
To wrap up, because we'll talk about this for 3 days.
Y'all, it'd be Thursday before we stop.
What is one empowering lesson that a final girl has departed on you?
Danny, Midsummer. Just because the alternative that you have chosen to an abusive, emotionally, physical, otherwise relationship is not perfect, it doesn't mean you don't deserve it and you didn't do the right thing. Because I'm tired of that argument that like, well, the people should stay with much better, it's also manipulation. You know what? That's none of your business. She got out of something she needed to get out of. We'll work on the rest later.
Right. Growth is a circle.
Good for her.
Good for her.
I'm going to say, and it's funny because I definitely like blew off Laurie Strode earlier today, but I'm going to say Laurie Strode, specifically from the Rob Zombies movies. I like love Scout Taylor Compton. I was actually going to get on this like earlier, but it just didn't, jive. But in Halloween 2, how like she overcomes it, and just like, I don't know. I guess I would say the strength that you see in her in those movies. Obviously she doesn't like, I mean, I guess at the end of Halloween 2, it's like, it doesn't end up great, I guess. But like, I think it's like the real, and like,
yeah, it's a promising young woman. It's
it's refreshing. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean they don't win. You get
Right.
to see them get to that point regardless.
Yes.
And sometimes the asshole wins.
Yes. And like, I just think I love her the way, I just think if that was me, I feel like I would be like her. I would be like a total fucking batshit crazy, like Satan shit on my wall.
Seriously, like when I watched that for real, I was like, damn, like I would be like not even Sydney Prescott level sassy. But what I want is to be spitting, cussing, and kicking like she is. And it's so nice to see that type of performance.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in a modern female character in horror. And I love that there are men that watch that movie and are like, she's just a loud bitch. I'm like, yeah, she is. Get the go. Yeah. And sometimes that's what you need to be, like when you're getting murdered.
Yes. Yeah. So I feel like I don't even know if you asked me that tomorrow or yesterday if it would have been the same answer, but that's what I'm feeling now. I feel like I'm gonna go with that.
I'm gonna
I just
go
love that bitch.
with Ready or Not, Barbarian. Our good old, we didn't even talk about her, but I could talk about this movie for weeks. My good old final girl from the menu.
Oh, I love that movie.
I love that movie. It's a beautiful movie. I think the very idea that, like, not only will you walk out of it, but you deserve to walk out of it, even if others aren't following you. Or either if, like, other people are choosing to not get out of the situation, because that's the choice she has to make in the menu. And it's also
Totally. Well, it's funny. I'm listening to you and trying to find the common thread between your final girls, and there is one, and it is complete. Like, they're totally uninterested in what others think of them or their decision.
right.
And that saves their lives.
And it saves their lives. So I guess my empowering thought is fuck politeness. And if not everyone's going to join you in the walkout, then just keep walking and watch them burn, I guess. Don't wait for Justin Long to take one more breath, because what if he survives it? Who cares? Who cares? He's trying to get out of his rape trial. We're walking. You got to get out of Detroit. Like,
one of my favorite moments in Barbarian is when they're in the pit and she's like, drink, just take
and
the
he
bottle.
won't.
And he, like, I literally, in that moment, could not stop the words from coming out of my face. But I'm like, what a fucking man.
Yes.
What a man, baby. And boom, I've done a pun about the plot of the movie. Like, you acting like such a baby, just put that shit in your mouth. Are you
Put your shit in your mouth. Why
You're not going to do this because it's not cool.
Who's watching you, sir?
We're
in a pit.
Shit.
We're in a pit.
Put it in your mouth. But her face says it all. Like, it literally, she's like, such a man. Like, you just have to do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that girl been down there doing it for however long.
2 days.
Like, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
If she wants to breastfeed you, you're like,
you
Mama.
put the titty in your mouth.
Or you may as well shoot yourself in the head. Like, what are you doing here?
What are you doing?
It's like obfuscating the goal, because no one's just going to come in and be like, oh, are you white? Oh, do you live in a suburb? Okay. You on land?
Are you just
this man
needs
to go. This man needs to go.
He doesn't have to be breastfed by the monster.
Stand back.
Mama monster. His privilege has come to call.
But I love how accurately they portrayed that.
Yes.
Because it really was like, dude, what are you waiting for? And she's like sweaty blood, like in it, being like,
what are we hoping for this spooky season? Because I've got to tell you, like, I have never been in a point in my adult life where I have been more excited for new thrillers and horrors to always pop up, because they've now gotten me thinking. And they've gotten me thinking about the female experience and just like, what does that mean to be non-male in this world and to live in a world of horror that is every day, and yet we've decided to up the ante. And I just hope upon hope that more female horror creators just come out of the woodwork and they just spoon feed me justification movies for the rest of my life, so I can be like, aha, I told you.
There's never been a time in history that we have been able to easily access such varied voices, folklore from other cultures. It's not even just about like diversity in our own country. Like, it's if you're looking for something to stretch your mind, widen your horizons, and you happen to like horror, I'm sure in other genres as well. I don't watch things that are not horror, so I don't know. It's out there. Like, it's out there, and women are making it. And not only are women making it, please get on Instagram, find me, Final Girl Scout, and I will give you a list of only female directed, produced, written films. So if you do want to hear different voices, I think sometimes you might be surprised at how relevant to your own experience it is, whether it's you as the protagonist or you as somebody that you didn't realize could be considered a villain. Like,
yeah,
it's necessary viewing to me. And like, I feel like the black voices, the female black voices, like, we've had such a cool few years in horror for female black storytellers, and like, I need to hear those stories. Like, there's this sense of welcoming in me. I can only speak to the horror film community, but like it feels like a party that the right people are finally showing up to
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I'm really, really excited to be a part of.
Yeah, I could totally agree with that. Was the new Candyman, that was made by a woman, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I loved the new Candyman. Are we done? Do you guys have manifestations for the audience, or are we just like women of horror? Yay.
I think our manifestation has been ribboned throughout our conversation. I think our communal manifestation is put scary things in your eyes on purpose, as you are experiencing them anyway, and sometimes art is cathartic in a way that you may not know you need.
And I want everyone to be able to text me at least one time something, and I go, good for you. Good for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it's fueled by rage. It's okay if it's like not politically correct.
Right. If it's not like your typical traditional.
Get scary. Okay, well, do you guys want to plug anything before you get your outfit and then we transition into ghost stories for Patreon? Also, if you have that list already made and you want to send it to me, I will put it on a newsletter, on a blog, on the Patreon.
For sure, the female
on the
horror.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, it lives in my mind rent free. I'll just type it out for you. Plugs. If you're my friend, come see me in person. You know where I live. Natalie, I'm talking to you. And let's see, like we need a girls camping trip or something.
We do.
Otherwise, like, I don't know, man, I'm trying to sling some hair. DM me on Instagram if you want to be in the tri-state area. I can do fucking Memphis, Mississippi, Arkansas. Let's do it. I am time to time like pop on these cool podcasts because my friends are awesome. So you can check out my past episodes here and plug it up sometimes, which is another awesome podcast that you definitely need to be listening to. And Zombie Girls, what up, Zombie Girls?
What up, Zombie Girls? Rachel, we missed you today, but you're going to be on this show.
He's just being Vegas Barbie fabulous.
I know, she's just living a great lifestyle. Darcie, just remind everyone how wonderful you are.
Oh yes, I am so wonderful. So I was doing a podcast. My husband and I had a podcast, but we decided we're on a probably a long hiatus from that. But if you want to hit me up on Instagram, I'm Darcie Darko on there. And yeah, I talk horror. I could talk wrestling with you, and mostly these two know I like to talk about Taylor Swift a lot.
We love Taylor Swift. But everyone, this has been To All the Men I've Tolerated Before. There was a commercial. I'm not going to repeat our plugs. This has been our spooky episode season. It took me anywhere between 7 to 14 days to edit this. And remember, out there, tolerators, you don't have to smile through anything you're tolerating, including a man who had the audacity to think that he could take you down with violence. Smiles are for joy.